Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am begging our president and the government that supports him to be very, very careful, because if the trigger of war in the Middle East is pulled by you using your surrogates at the insistence of Israel, then the war will trigger another kind of war which will bring China, Russia, all of the nations into a war. And it bothers me to say this to you, Mr. President, but the war will end America as you know it. Our affairs in the person. So when these Iranians chant death to America, death to Israel, no chant can bring about your death, but it is your policies that are eroding trust for you in the world, favor for you in the world. And now you're pulling apart, confused. And if you do this, you will bring about, not the Iranian chant, you will bring about the death of the greatest nation. Process of being resurrected from a mental. I know that chant came from the people of Iran. And this sanction is what's hurting the people of Iran. They have a right to chant it. But I am not a chanter. I am a worker for God. And the truth will undo falsehood, and the righteous will win against the wicked. Not with a chant.
Death to the United States is not a slogan chanted by the Iranian government.
In America, they said that they gave Iran billions of dollars, but they never said that they were holding over $150 billion of Iranian money, and they were supposed to give it back during the treaty arrangement. But has Iran gotten that money back yet? Can anybody answer that question for me? Love with one another. I want to warn you. You speak as the foolish. America is mine. America is ours. Our sweat and our blood built America. How dare you say that we have no place there? How dare you say that we cannot criticize your evil and point it out to you? I am more of a patriot than most of you who bow down to evil, and it is only truth that will make America better. And I speak that truth, and I will be back in America to speak it again.
There is no direct mentions of Iran going to war with America in any of the scriptures, not the Torah, the Gospel / Injil, nor the Quran. The closest is in the book of Daniel, where Persia is specifically mentioned. But Daniel is a sealed / coded book, and Persia is actually America there. Persia is mentioned frequently in the books of the Torah, but is always symbolic of America. Because of the mention of Persia, many, if not most, Christians who study these scriptures get a twisted understanding of what the verses mean. For instance, in Daniel, the mention of Persia leads the confused Christians to believe that Sunni Arabs will be in league with Russia in some grand scheme to encircle and crush Israel. Though that is a dream of Iran and many Sunni, that is not what it means. They interpret the, quote, king of the south, end quote, as Persia/Iran, who will go to war with the, quote, king of the north, unquote, which they claim is Europe, specifically Germany, and be crushed. They also believe in some mystery 10 European nations conglomerate that will take over the world, led by some imagined Antichrist who will mark everyone aligned with Antichrist with a, quote, 666, end quote, mark. This is nonsense, as is the so-called, quote, rapture, end quote, where America will be saved, quote, beamed up to heaven, unquote, by some imaginary rapture. This rapture is designed to explain why America is not mentioned in the scripture. According to them, America is good and holy and too good to be a part of evils of the end times. The problem with these interpretations, as well as others, they dismiss the profound fact that the book of Daniel is a sealed book that can only be unsealed by the Son of Man, as with the angel, in the time of the end days. So nothing there can be taken literally. Even Jesus stated that none of his teachings, his words, his parables could or should be taken literally. They were all parables that needed to be deciphered. But the Christians don't let that fact deflect them from taking everything literally anyway. I'm saying all this to point out that there is nothing in any of the scriptures that would lead one to conclude that Iran and America will clash. In fact, there is no obvious, clear mention of America. Some even, quote, scholars, end quote, insist that America is not even mentioned in any scripture. If that is the contemporary thinking in the light of America's obvious existence, then how could a scripturally non-existent America go to war with Iran? A war that will not only trigger Armageddon, but will profoundly change reality as we know it. If these statements are untrue, and there are obvious mentions of Iran clashing with America, even if it's just as was with Iraq, then please present it. Please inform us, Mr. Anointed. I'll settle for even that much. Forget about all the rest, Russia, Armageddon, etc. You won't find it because it ain't there. Then there is the messenger's teachings. There is no mention of Iran clashing with America, no mention of the clash of Iran and America triggering a great universal war, no mention or even hint that there will be war between America and Iran, or that such a war will bring in Russia, China, or anyone else. None, nada, none whatsoever. So, where is Mr. Farrakhan getting his information from? From Farad, from the messenger, or from the one who has been revealing these events for over 28 years, since 1990, when I first began breaking the seals of the angel. There is a clear record in documents, books, and on YouTube, many videos that addresses the imminent clash between America and Iran. The video outlines in great detail the imminent clash between the Shia Iran/Syria with America and her allies, Britain, false Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Ask Mr. Farrakhan where he is getting his sudden insight if you dare. I can save you the trouble. Me. He is getting it from me, but like all thieves, he will claim it for himself. What good is a flashlight with a battery in intense darkness when the battery becomes weak or dies out? Would you rather have a flashlight or the sun, which has no need of batteries? I revealed a lot, but I've withheld many details just for situations such as this. Theft protection. I don't have to, quote, beg, end quote, Mr. Trump not to attack Iran. Apostles, prophets, messengers, ministers of Allah never beg. They never beg anyone for anything, not for anything, ever. It is not a question, quote, if, end quote, there will be a clash. There will be a clash, and soon. I don't need to cover my ass with if, but Mr. Farrakhan seems to be very good at covering his ass, but his skirt is about to be pulled up over his head, exposing him for the corruption which he represents. What will happen when the war begins? What will you do? There are two of many glaring issues that Mr. Farrakhan needs to explain. The beast with 10 horns, who will be inspired by God, will hate the harlot / America, will defeat America and burn her down with fire. Even Daniel states that the beast / America will be given to the flames at the debut of the Ancient of Days. So if America is to be burned down, then what happens to any fool who is dumb enough to be in America when that happens? How do you explain the, quote, come out of her, my people, end quote? If that is a spiritual come out, then what about the other verse which explains the coming out? Quote, forsake her and let us go to his own country, end quote. I think that makes it crystal clear what, quote, come out of her, end quote, means. Then there is Michael. If that ain't Farad, then who is he? He will appear when the war starts, the time of unprecedented trouble. He will deliver everyone in the Lamb's book, which delineates Farad from the Lamb, Son of Man, two different characters. He will deliver. Deliver to where? To LA? To New York? To Atlanta? What stupidity. Quote, we ain't going nowhere, end quote. He's actually right. The demons slash black-skinned Caucasians ain't going nowhere. They are going off the cliff with their swine slash devil daddies. The arrival of Farad is the, quote, like, end quote, son of man, meaning not. Like means not. Who comes before the Ancient of Days, clouds of heaven, which is simultaneous with the beast slash America being thrown into the flames. Aaron refused to give credit to the Son of Man, ripping off his words and attributing them to himself. I warned several weeks ago that the damned, those who are doing their damnness to hold back, restrain the truth of the angel which I'm revealing, is cracking. Suddenly, my specific and clear warning to Mr. Trump to not interfere, to not attack Iran, is being broadcast all over the world, all over America. You have Mr. FARRAKHAN echoing my message, which is evidence that the dam is cracking. Soon the dam will collapse. What will that be like? It will be a flood of the truth that the liars, the hypocrites, the demons are desperately trying to restrain. What will happen to the restrainers whose duty it was to receive and spread the message? Yes, indeed, what will happen to them? They will be blown to smithereens. As I said, liars and thieves often get entangled in their own web of lies and theft. Mr. Farrakhan has proven to the world that he is a liar. When the dam breaks and the source of the message is revealed, then the entire world will see who's the liar and who's the thief. When my word will be sought after all over the world, when they see the real source of the message, the liar will be exposed. The story of Balaam underscores the consequence of Farrakhan's duplicity. Balaam whipped the, quote, ass, end quote, Farrakhan 3 times. The first was physical / cancer. The second would be universal humiliation, addressed here when his plagiarism is made manifest. Then finally, death. Many of you have rejected my words. Quote, I don't want to hear that shit, end quote. Quote, stop sending that shit to me, end quote. Quote, take my name off your list, end quote, etc., etc. So now that Mr. Farrakhan is echoing my words, are my words still shit? Do you still reject them? This is a sign and a witness against you, as what was your basis and rationale for your rejection? Same message that you rejected now is okay. Now the issues from the quote mouth end quote of a clear liar. What would you call it when he is echoing my words without attributing credit? Mr. Farrakhan is diminishing. He is desperate to achieve relevance. His fake quote news end quote conferences where no one of consequence ever shows up. His so-called news conference in Iran where no official of any consequence attended. In fact, they censored his quote broadcast end quote. Farrakhan is the past, and like all past is past. He has no wisdom, so he has to steal from me, who he thinks of as insignificant, inconsequential. If he only knew. The dam is cracking. The truth cannot be contained. They wish to put out the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah will perfect his light. There are always those from among the jinn and devils who try to dam up the waters of truth. They try to extinguish the light of prophecy. Prophecy is truth as powered by time. Each day it becomes ever more powerful, though the deceivers are averse. It would be easier to extinguish the sun than to prevent the irresistible ways of truth, the irresistible ways of prophecy. They think that they can silence the messenger of the prophecy. They think they can extinguish the prophecy by ignoring it or just hiding it. They think they can block it out by closing their eyes and ears. They think. I think that they misthink. The more they resist the waves/flow/currents of prophecy, the stronger it gets, as when a dam blocks the flow of a rushing river. The pressure on the dam just increases, and if the dam doesn't acquiesce and allow the waters to pass, the dam will soon be blown to smithereens. The longer they resist it, the stronger the pressure/force of truth gets. We are told that, quote, the gospel/angel will be preached in all the world, then the end would come, end quote. Who is teaching the angel called Revelations? They must first be able to break its seals, and only the Lamb, Son of Man, can do that. That's how you recognize him. That's his credentials. Farad didn't break the seals, nor did the messenger. Had they done so, then why are you still mystified by it? You don't have a clue what any of it means, not one verse. Mr. Farrakhan surely hasn't a clue, or he would be revealing it. We are told that, quote, happy the reading and hearing the word of the prophecy and observing that in it have been written for the appointed time near, end quote. The dam is cracking, fault lines everywhere. Each day, each hour, each minute, the light of the angel is getting brighter and brighter like a piercing laser, shutting out the ever weakening flashlights whose batteries are being drained. All those who are averse, who are resistors, will be snuffed out, crushed out of existence, as when the battery suddenly dies, leaving them in utter darkness. To Trump, do not attack North Korea nor Iran, specifically Iran. The day you do it, you will surely die within a year. Within 1 year, you, Eve, your son Cain/Israel, and husband Adam/Britain will be no more. I know you will ignore this warning. I know you will be made aware of the warning. We know all your secrets, your secret plans. You have reached your expiration date, a date built into your people's DNA by your maker. From this point on, everything you do will backfire. Everything. Your history, your destiny was written before your existence. Your destruction will come as a snare, and you will not escape.
And the U.S. is, for example, moving ever closer to war with Iran. In a speech Monday, the Secretary of State threatened to, quote, crush the Iranian government. Congress may get on board with that. There is a debate right now at this hour on Capitol Hill over legislation that would allow military force against Iran. Keep in mind that the American military is exhausted, our government is broke, and Iran, for all its many faults, is far from the main sponsor of terror against Americans. Not even close, actually, no matter what they tell you. Maybe you support going to war with Iran. It's okay. Maybe you don't support it. But either way, you should know that it could happen much sooner than you think. CNN will not tell you that, so we thought we should, and we're going to follow it, no matter how unpopular it is.
We will track down Iranian operatives and their Hezbollah proxies operating around the world, and we will crush them. Iran will never again have carte blanche to dominate the Middle East.
On direct.
The organization claiming the US actions are illegal, something President Macron of France told President Trump today during a phone call. He also warned that economic nationalism like this leads to war.
Iran may be preparing for retaliation against all of that. Israel has gone on alert, as you say, in the Golan Heights in northern Israel. Shelters are now ordered to be open. Everyone is, including the U.S. military.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has said the United States has lost its cards in Syria, calling on America to leave the country in an interview with Russia today. Assad said, "The Americans should leave. Somehow they're going to leave. They came to Iraq with no legal basis, and look what happened to them. They have to learn their lesson. Iraq is no exception. Syria is no exception. People will not accept foreigners in this region anymore." The U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, a predominantly Kurdish group that controls parts of northern Syria, has been dubbed by Assad as the only problem left in Syria. He said it would be confronted with force if negotiations fail.
If Iran threatens us in any way, they will pay a price like few countries have ever paid.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
This sequence of events, beginning with the so-called Gulf War, the invasion of Iraq, 1990, ending with the desolation of Parliament in 2018. America makes her opening attack on Islam in her plan to break the back of Islam following the collapse of the Soviet Union. The so-called Gulf War was the first event in the first of two attacks against Iraq, where America disturbs the power balance in the region, pushing Iran and Syria into the margins. Iran and Syria are the two witnesses of the AL-INJIL, whose power is superseded by the presence of America and Britain in the region. 2008, Obama/Belshazzar, the rider on the white horse in the first seal, comes to power. During this period, Jonah begins his preaching to Nineveh. 2017, Obama, called a serpent, steps down. He is Belshazzar, who was prophesied to be the last king of Babylon, depending on whether he listens to Daniel/Joseph or not, as he was to be overthrown by Darius/Farrokhan. But the prophecy of Joseph was a mercy. If he listened to Daniel/Joseph, such that Babylon/Egypt would be spared until the next Pharaoh, who would bring the plagues down on America and be forced to give up the original people. The Jonah sign, quote, the last sign to be given this evil generation, end quote, defines a scenario where Farrokhan delays Nineveh's, the great city's, America's destruction during Obama's reign at Jonah's expense until the Pharaoh, Mr. Trump. A mercy to the NOI in hopes that they will hear Jonah and take the additional time to wake up. 2018, America, Britain, false Israel, Gog, Magog, and the Antichrist respectively push against Iran and Syria, the Shia. They are planning to attack Iran, a proxy of Russia, in order to break the back of Islam and to ignite a conventional war with Russia and their plan of the genocide of American and British blacks by war. They want to be able to send millions of reproductive black men and women to their deaths as patriots fighting for their country. However, their plan is interrupted by a preemptive attack by the Shia, who throw them out of the region. America and Britain, defeated and humiliated by their defeat at the hands of the Shia with Russian help and Farrokhan's help, which they conceal from the public, proceed with their plans of war with Russia and China, using their defeat with Russian help as the pretext to war against Russia. False Israel, under siege by the Shia, is overthrown and taken. Meanwhile, the American and British attack on North Korea has drawn China into the war. Black Christians are violently resisting and in open rebellion, being forced/drafted into America's war against China and Russia. Their eyes have been opened by Jonah to the truth of America's and Britain's plans of genocide of the blacks by war. Then comes the horrific act, the desolation of Parliament committed against Jerusalem in revenge for the defeat and expulsion of false Israel from the Middle East, followed immediately by the four winds, the plagues.